disturbs the cholesterol pathway. So conditions such as small intestine bacterial overgrowth or large intestine infections as well can disturb cholesterol synthesis, and this was one of the reasons Mary's cholesterol was high. In integrative medicine, we all agree that there's never one cause of anything because the body is a whole, it's a connected whole. And so once one domino gets disturbed, it leads to a bunch of dominoes falling. So we had to find out all the critical reasons for Mary's high cholesterol. One of them was her gut. Now, she didn't have a lot of gut symptoms, but she did complain of heartburn. And so we did a breath test for Mary, and we did a stool analysis, and that revealed that she did have an infection. She did also have fat malabsorption. So there's an interesting irony that I've noted, and I don't have any studies. This is just a clinical observation. A lot of patients who have high cholesterol in their bloodstream actually have cholesterol malabsorption in the gut, meaning they don't absorb cholesterol well from their food. So it's kind of ironic that their cholesterol levels in the bloodstream are high. But if you backtrack, you can kind of see why that would be. If you're not absorbing critical vitamins like vitamin D, if you have a fat malabsorption and you're not, you're taking supplements, for example, a vitamin D supplement, trying to fix a vitamin D deficiency, and it's not being absorbed, it would make sense that the body would make more cholesterol in an attempt to make more vitamin D. Now, if you're not out in the sun like you should be to make your vitamin D, then you're going to be vitamin D deficient. Many people can't expose themselves to the sun because of the tone of their skin, their increased risk of skin cancer, and you have to expose your core to the sun to make vitamin D. So many times our core is not exposed when we're outdoors, or we have sunscreen that actually blocks the sunlight that would help us make vitamin D. So many of us resort to taking vitamin D supplements. And if you have a fat malabsorption, it's not going to get into the body appropriately, and your body will try and correct that by increasing cholesterol. So Mary had a fat malabsorption. She had a gut infection. And based on the fact that her gut didn't work very well, the next step was really to see what type of vitamin and mineral deficiencies Mary had. And so we did an advanced micronutrient panel. Mary had about 12 or 13 vitamin deficiencies, and she wasn't even aware because she felt otherwise healthy. She did complain of a little bit of fatigue, but nothing really significant. But it turned out she was walking around with 12 and 13 vitamin deficiencies and mineral deficiencies and antioxidant deficiencies. So the step to correct Mary's cholesterol, the steps we had to take were to treat her gut infection, reduce the inflammation that was there. We also suspected that her gut leaked, and so we had to seal her gut with some natural supplements. And then we had to also prescribe digestive enzymes for Mary to help her to digest her fats better. We gave her some probiotics as well to help support gut function. And Mary did take some IV nutrition for a while just to rapidly correct her deficits. And we also gave her some oral supplements that would cover the base of all of her vitamin deficiencies. We also changed Mary's diet to include the foods that would increase those vitamins and minerals more in her diet. And sure enough, over time, it took a while. It took about 6 to 9 months. Her cholesterol started to drop back into the normal range. Mary is not an unusual or uncommon patient in an integrative physician's office. This is very often the cause of high cholesterol for millions of people, and it's not known. So if Mary had simply just taken a statin, she would have gone on with continued vitamin deficiencies that would have been worsened by the statin, not made better. She would have had perhaps an artificial sense of security by having the cholesterol go down artificially. However, she would have had more vitamin deficiencies, her infection would have persisted, And she may have developed symptoms later on. Now, we won't know that because we did intervene. But this intervention gives us not a false sense of security, but a true sense of security, because now she does not have a gut infection. And we'll be more vigilant to look for gut infections should her cholesterol start to bump up again in the future. I did not do an advanced lipid panel in her case because there really wasn't a reason to. She didn't have any other risk factors, so it wasn't a necessary test for us. Now, had she had other risk factors, had she been overweight or perhaps over the age of 55, we would have done an advanced lipid panel to see if cholesterol was in fact increasing her risk or not. So that's just an example of how, as an integrative medical doctor, we look at cholesterol and we treat it very, very differently. The studies on statin drugs are becoming increasingly clear. There is a direct link to diabetes. There's an indirect link to cancer. And there is some controversy as to whether or not statins can cause renal failure down the road. The link to diabetes is kind of easy to see in the sense that the liver does regulate blood sugar. And if you're disturbing the liver with the use of a synthetic drug, it's not a big stretch to see that sugar metabolism will also be damaged. You just can't really regulate your blood sugar when your liver is under assault by a synthetic drug all the time. Now, certain statins are natural. The original statin, lovastatin, is natural, it's based in red yeast rice. But even red yeast rice, if taken too long, can cause liver damage, and that is a principle of TCM medicine. We know that a single herb, if taken excessively or inappropriately, is toxic. And so to base a drug on red yeast rice can be toxic, even though it is natural. So we're going to share some tips now on how to reduce your personal risk of heart disease by naturally lowering your cholesterol. Tip number 1 is going to be to reduce sugar intake. I would advise everyone to really see a registered dietitian to really get a better idea and a better handle on just how much sugar you're eating and how you can balance that with proteins and fats and vegetables, of course. I'm not a huge fruit fan just because of the increase of sugar intake with fruit consumption. However, a certain amount of fruits in moderation should not bump up your cholesterol. Protein is a very forgiving food. I love protein in the sense that it helps to balance blood sugar levels. When your blood sugar levels are better balanced, you're going to have fewer cholesterol issues. But again, protein is very controversial. We did a podcast on that a few weeks back. Getting the proper sources of protein is critical. Number 2, make sure you exercise. 30 minutes of exercise 5 times a week has been shown to give more favorable cholesterol numbers. So exercise is a huge tip. We know that being sedentary increases the risk of heart disease is one known risk factor. So becoming more active. Again, please get a physical. Please make sure that you are healthy enough to exercise before you go out and do that. But that is definitely a tip. Number 3, bergamot. Bergamot is a bitter citrus fruit. It's a TCM principle. We know that reducing dampness and phlegm, we can use bitter citrus fruits to do that in TCM. Many herbs used in TCM contain citrus to reduce phlegm. Given that cholesterol is phlegm, the use of bergamot in conjunction with an overall plan to reduce cholesterol is highly recommended as well. It has been studied and shown to reduce cholesterol as well. So bergamot is a reasonable option if you're at low risk. Number 4, digestive enzymes. So better absorption of fats helps reduce LDL levels, bad LDL. So lipase is an enzyme that you can find in digestive enzymes, and in particular, if you have fat malabsorption, taking enzymes is critical. And then tip number 5 is improving your digestive and liver health. If you have any gastrointestinal symptoms whatsoever, I urge you to seek the care of an integrative medical doctor who can do proper testing and identify any underlying infections. You can also do testing for liver toxicity. If you don't get your gut and liver to be healthier, it's extremely difficult to get your cholesterol down naturally and safely and to see the long-term benefits that you should. That's all the time we have for today's show. Really appreciate you being with me here on Dream Vision 7 Radio, listening to Awakened Wellness with Milan Riobe, MD. I look forward to seeing you or speaking to you again in 2 weeks. Again, have a safe, blessed, and happy New Year. Many blessings and thank you.
Join us next time on Awakened Wellness with Milan Riobe, MD, to learn how spirituality, ancient traditions, and cutting-edge science are merging to create a new paradigm of wellness. Awakened Wellness airs every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern Time, with live shows on the first and third Tuesday mornings of each month. Meanwhile, you can join our Facebook page at facebook.com/awakenedwellness8 and let us know what you'd like to discuss on future episodes. Dr. Milan is the medical director of the Riobe Institute of Integrative Medicine in Jupiter, Florida. For more information, visit riobeintegrativemedicine.com. This show is part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.